Thank you for sharing your Wednesday with me. I am JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer at JB Bryan Financial Group, the home of AfroEconomics, and I have my friends with me. So those of you who are not participating in the webinar, you're missing out because I'm going to be bringing in my friends who have raised their hand and said that they will talk with me on this topic of Afroeconomics equality. It makes it so much better. I'm in the studio by myself. I usually have at least one person working with me, but nobody's working with me tonight, so I'm depending on my members of Afroeconomics. So I'm definitely bringing in a leader in our community. Andrew Bozeman is going to be sharing some insight with us. Thank you, Mr. Bozeman. Stay with me right there. I would love to see Artist Jones raise his hand as well. Mr. Armstrong said that he has covered up his camera. But indeed, we have a lot to say, and I'm glad to see that the brothers are willing to share their knowledge, their opinion, their insight with me as I go through something that is outside the zone of an investment advisor. That's what I do. I help people pick investments. But I'll often hear discussions about when we're talking about us, about how we're never and how we can never and why we have this true, and it's very true, this huge wealth gap between us and the white majority and Black wealth. So, I mean, what is the wealth gap? Well, the wealth gap measures the difference between wealth. Let's look at what wealth is. Wealth is your total assets, your cash, your house, your retirement accounts, anything that you have, the things of value that you have. Subtract out what you owe, all your credit cards, any mortgages, any car loans, anything that you owe, and that gives you your wealth. So that's your assets minus your liabilities gives you your wealth. So often we think because someone makes a lot of money and they spend a lot of money, we think that they're wealthy. But no, your income is not about your wealth. So when we talk about the wealth gap, they're saying that our assets aren't where they are. I remember Essence Magazine did a survey a couple of years ago, and they said that the average net worth of a Black woman was about $100. So, I also found today that there was an article in the New York Times that said for every $100 in the white family wealth, Black families hold about $5.04. The Economic Policy Institute found that more than 1 in 4 Black households, that's 1 out of 4 of us, have 0 to negative net worth, compared to less than 1 out of every 10 white families without wealth. So that's like basically 2 of us for every 10 of us, there would be 2 that have 0 or negative net worth. And then remember the study that we talked about, the road to zero wealth, showed that from 1983 to 2013, the wealth of the average Black household declined 75%, from $6,800 to $1,700. So, at that same time, the median white household wealth increased 14%, while ours was going down. And this is from 83 to 2013. So we're not talking about stuff that happened to us, because we've got a lot wrapped up in that we feel that, Trump is to our demise. I'm talking about things that have happened to us pre-Trump. So if you believe that Trump is to your demise, which I feel that we cannot feel that way, because Afroeconomics is coming stronger and stronger and stronger during the Trump era or the dump era or whatever is going on. We're going to continue to focus on our Afroeconomic empowerment, regardless of who is sitting in the White House. Politics is there for us to use. We're not there for politicians to use us. We got to change this thing. So even though it's been said the Black unemployment now is at this all-time low, we have to remember that our wealth that we want to develop goes beyond just us getting a job. And most of the research that I found, none of the research was supporting or discussing the fact that we have, that wealth, that we need more businesses, that businesses give us something to pass on. Businesses give us where we're working 30 years, not to just get the watch and the pension, but to get a pension that will go on for generations and generations and generations from a strong business that we can build. And you still can build your own pension through your business. So that's what I thank God for AfroEconomics, to show us that we can build our own retirement accounts, that we can build our own businesses, that if we do work for someone, we can still carry ourselves and our family like an enterprise, indeed. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about how we got here, and I want to bring in, Andrew, and I'm gonna bring this. I'm gonna bring you in. Brace yourself. But how you doing, Andrew? All the way from upstate New York. There you go. Uh-oh, with the green screen behind you. You're the best. You used to be the best from the West, but now you're the best from the North. Yes, indeed. Let me make sure. There you go. Well, that's me. I'm going to get you, but I have to get you unmuted. Of course, it always will do something to mess us up. You see, oh, there you go. It says, I think you're unmuted now, Andrew.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, can you hear me?
You all let me know, and somebody raise their hand and let me know that they can hear him as well.
Can you hear me?
It says like a yellow signal, but Andrew, you stay with me, because I want to share one thing with you, and then you check that out, and then I'm gonna bring you right back, because I want to see if that it'll come back, because I think that it might be let's see. I'm gonna try. Okay. What Maurice says he wanted to come in, but it has him on mute too. Unmute yourself. Unmute. I don't know, Andrew, you look perfect too. I don't know why it's doing that. Can you turn your volume all the way up, Andrew? See if it'll do that, if that'll change anything.
All right.
And then it said Alt-A. Alt-A.
Okay. I turned up my volume. Can you hear me?
No. So anyway, stay with me. Just don't even, I'm not gonna bring you down. And we got Maurice A up. So and he said he covered it. So I don't know, he just raised his hand, but I want to talk about redlining. And I want to discuss it. From most of us don't know what it really is. But what happened with redlining is what is called systematic racism. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, because they don't want to think that it's actually something that is in the system that we're operating under. But there's actually concrete information that shows that these things still exist today, that we're constantly trying to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and taking things out of the system that are harming us. So Blacks have been historically prevented from building wealth. If we go back to the laws of the Jim Crow era. So there were, what happened is they would set up for government loans restrictions on what areas and what neighborhoods could actually get loans. So the process was called redlining, and it systematically prevented us from getting home loans. So if you were not able to get the home loans in the 1930s, then you weren't able to what? Inherit a home in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. So, but there were a lot less opportunities for us to get the financing that we deserve. And I've heard lots of older clients actually say that. And Andrew, can you shake your head if you've ever heard of redlining? Look, say yes. Have you heard of redlining?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And that, I mean, it is seriously, real. And then also, when I went back and I said, let me just look deeper at, then I'm going to share the screen. I pulled this from The Road to Zero Wealth. This will also show you. They did extensive research on just what things have actually impacted, our ability to build the wealth and how it still impacts us today. So how about here you'll see the denial of Social Security to farm workers and domestic workers. In 1935, I can make that a little bigger. Is that better? Like I saw you, Andrew, sit up. That in 1935, it says the groundwork for the nation's social safety net infrastructure was laid with the passage of Social Security Act. But despite the significance and importance of the Social Security Act, it excluded a third of all American workers. Now, right here, can you see that? Farm workers, domestic workers who were predominantly people of color, Black people. And then they were excluded from coverage under the legislation. So the African Americans, for us, the cost of exclusion from Social Security of 1935 resulted in a loss of benefits totaling $143 billion. But adjusted for inflation when you brought that up to 2016. To be sure, white workers were also denied the benefits to the tune of $461 billion, but there's a whole bunch more of them. However, although white farm workers and domestic workers were excluded, African Americans and other minority workers bore the brunt of the impact as they comprise a much larger share of those excluded, about 2/3 of those excluded. So if 2/3 of those excluded were only 143 billion, then we weren't, even though we represented 2/3, wow, we weren't going to get all of the majority of the money that was left out. So that means that small percentage that was owed to the white farm workers and domestic workers, that they were only 1/3, but they were going to be getting 2/3 of the benefit. You get that, Andrew? You see what I'm saying? Like 461 was owed to them, but they only represented a fraction of the people that were owed. That's amazing right there. But the researchers didn't really look at it that far to think about that. So federally sanctioned housing discrimination, what I was just talking about, between 1934 and 1968, the Housing Administration, along with other public and private sector lenders, intentionally shut out households of Blacks for the opportunity to purchase a home through the practice of redlining, that term I was referring to. The practice of being denied access to traditional credit pushed many would-be homebuyers of color into wealth-stripping land contracts, a predatory and costly arrangement in which buyers paid an exorbitant price to purchase a home, in which a missed payment would lead to eviction, losing all of their equity from the house and a loss of all equity. This is real. This is real. So your family could have paid everything right. Somebody gets sick, they miss a payment, they lose everything. That impacts you for generations. that impacts us for generations. I'm a descendant of North Carolina farmers, you know, and they even talk about, in my research, I saw how Black farmers were not given the opportunities to get the credit lines so they could build their crops. So the number of Black farmers after slavery grew dramatically. But, you know, by the early 1900s, it was down to nothing almost. You know, it was an extremely low number of Black farmers because they couldn't get the support that they needed. You know, farming is a business. It's a business. Denial of economic opportunities for service members of colors. You know, it's amazing. Like Black people in the war, the GI Bill of 1944 is credited for providing millions of returning World War II veterans with opportunities to access wealth building opportunities, low cost mortgages, low interest business loans, and tuition assistance. And they say that it didn't say that not include Black people, but the result was pervasive racial discrimination in which service members of color were more likely to be denied access to a range of benefits. Affecting people right now say, oh, my grandfather was in World War II. And you're not realizing that he was supposed to come back and be able to take advantage of these benefits that weren't given to him like they should have been. And yeah, I mean, this is, you know, really, I mean, I even saw in the, there's a Wikipedia story that I thought was really interesting. The Wikipedia I have that talks about, and I've got to make sure that I get, it's about the Jim Crow. It's Jim Crow economy. Yeah. And then I said, this was amazing. And then, Andrew, can you still see this?
Yes, I can.
My screen, on the Jim Crow economy, look at this, life and death. One of the major sources of wealth transfer is inheritance. One of the major ways to build wealth is inheritance, right? I've never inherited anything in my life, you know. And then and almost all of my upline family members are gone. You know, I've never inherited anything. There's probably so many, I mean, people all the time who are paying to bury their upline. They're not inheriting, we're not inheriting, but that we are much less likely to inherit anything. A white person is a lot more likely. I can't give you the exact stats, but the statistics I've seen, they're much more likely to inherit someone. I have it in one of my podcasts than we are. No, so race-based, oh, this is amazing, especially as someone who does insurance and investments. Andrew, race-based life insurance rates began in the early 1880s. Look at this. Included higher rates and reduced benefits. Look, and no commission for the insurance agent on policies written for African Americans when state laws were passed to prevent race-based differential insurance rates. The companies simply just stopped selling it. When they said, don't do that, stop charging Black people more, you know, we're not going to pay you if you sell it to a Black person. And they said, well, we're going to do it anyway, you know. And then they said, oh, if they found out, then the state would say, well, you can't do that, you know, then you got to sell it to the Black people. The company would simply stop selling to Black clients in those states. When customers had existing policies and tried to increase the amount of coverage, look, I got it because I have y'all behind it. That's why I'm moving it like that. Tried to purchase additional coverage from their local agent at times when the company had stopped soliciting policies in their area. They were told they could travel to a regional office to make their purchases. So go somewhere else. Just go to the big house. That is amazing. So if we can't get approved for the life insurance policy, we can't buy the policy, or agents are discouraged to service us, then you don't have that money. So if somebody else is paying $1 a week and they're getting a $50,000 policy and their family gets to inherit the $50,000, but your grandma can't get anybody to insure her. So when she passes, y'all don't have anything. And this is amazing to me, Andrew, because of all the years that I've been in this business, I did not know this. If we don't inherit, oh my goodness. It says, what does it say about these companies? In the first decades of the 21st century, major insurance companies like Metropolitan Life, Prudential, American General, John Hancock were still settling court cases brought by policy owners who had purchased their policies during the Jim Crow era and I guess have been charged too much. And they were trying to get their money and have their premiums adjusted. This is amazing. And look at this legacy. An economic analysis that was conducted in the 1970s. Now this is about the 40 acres and a mule. And it says, it concluded that even if the freed slaves have been given 40 acres and a mule that have been promised by the Freeman's Bureau, remember we were promised this, it would not have been enough, it still wouldn't have been enough to entirely close the wealth gap between whites and blacks by the time we got to 1979. Isn't that something? So in 1984, the average median wealth for black households was $3,000 compared to $39,000 for white households. Amazing. So what we're realizing now is that investing, as we know, has a compounding effect. And so, and if we look so if we were not given these opportunities, and we always had to come up with the money, and you couldn't get the life insurance and you couldn't get the things, mind you, we've got to do these things now because you can. We got to do what we can do now, but we also have to be mindful of where you were. What we came into this world with is not our fault, but what we leave behind, we got to be totally responsible for. We got to be totally responsible for. We have to make these things different for us, right? We have to make these. Andrew, I wish that you could just say so. I'm just so sorry. I'm gonna allow you to just rest. I'm so mad. This makes me so mad. Makes me want to go out there and buy a new computer or something. I wish I could figure out what it is, because we had Cheryl on for Kwanzaa and everything was fine. But look, I'm definitely gonna take Maurice down because he doesn't appreciate the Cowboys like he should. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how you're up there, Maurice. It won't even let me take you down. It says promote to panelists, and I did promote him to panelists. I'm gonna try, because he's all in front of me, because it's all about the football team. And I want to show y'all some things that I have. I don't know. I'm gonna try one more time to get him down, and then we're going to move forward. Here he is. Here he is. Great. I'm back. Thank you, Andrew and Maurice. Two good men. And I hope, I definitely want to make sure that I go into my notes before y'all scout out on me on some thoughts, but that definitely gives us some where we are. What are we going to do with it? Let's look at this. I want to talk about some suggestions that I have on what we need to make sure that we do. So what can we do? We can build a financial network. And I believe that AfroEconomics is a key way for our community to build a consumer advocate, to build a information advocate. That's why I created the free membership, no excuses, because I want everybody to have access to all of the information that they can get. Then when you promote, you can do the personal one-on-one where I can give you comprehensive financial planning. But if you can't do that, be a no excuse member. Do what you can do. No excuses. Let's move forward. We're creating a financial network of like-minded, powerful people who want to see wealth improvement in the Black community. We need that. We need this consciousness. We need this information sharing that Andrew and Maurice were trying to do, and the technical stuff wouldn't let us in. And then entrepreneurship. We need that. That's why entrepreneurship is the 7th principle of AfroEconomics. Entrepreneurship will allow our families and all of us to build something that we can pass on, that we can use to service our community, to service the world. Entrepreneurship is a key wealth development tool, much more, in my opinion, than residential real estate, much more. But we're constantly pushed into thinking that residential real estate to me is for a cost-effective housing situation. That's what it's just for. And it does open you up to the potential of growing the value of the home. If the market is right for you, you can make some money there. But it's not like an investment of real estate where you're getting income from the investment property. But entrepreneurship, when you go into doing real estate as an investment, then you're becoming an entrepreneur. Then you're creating income. Then you're building something that can create income and work for you. We have to avoid consumerism. They depend on us for consumerism. You can find research on how much they depend on Black people to buy things to build these businesses. That's cool, but first let us build our wealth for ourselves. Buy stock in the business. Talk to me about investment accounts. Talk to me about getting more involved or learning more about your work retirement plans that have investments in them. I was thinking about how important investment allocation is when you may see the reports of the utility company in California. And I said, I wonder how many people did the same mistake of having too much of their retirement assets in their employer, because now that utility company is threatened with bankruptcy because they're saying that they contributed to those fires in California. We have to make sure that we have a good allocation for our work retirement plans. Be careful. Just because you work there does not mean that it is a great idea for you to put all of your savings into your company stock. You have to be careful. And so then also be aware of cultural stressors that we have been and are victims of things outside of our control merely because of something we cannot control, the color of our skin. So these cultural stressors have been connected to deteriorating and wearing down our health. So we have to, there's research you can find that shows that cultural stressors have contributed to the prostate cancer in our Black men. Cultural stressors, they say. So even though that's not coming up in our books on or all of the research, they don't think about that, but our health is so connected to our wealth. And we have to protect ourselves as Black people that that you have a lot of pressure on you. You have some extra challenges that you cannot control what other people's issues are and how they perceive you. So we have to make sure that we're conscious of that and protecting our health and praying and meditating and staying at a good place and staying focused on your family. Getting getting information also on the importance of having proper protection for your family. Amazing that connection of how they found that during Jim Crow era, how we were overpriced, and even now because of the cultural stressors, you'll find, we tend to have way too many diseases. So it's still bringing up the rate that it costs for us to get the insurance that we need. And I'm specifically talking about the life insurance to protect your family, to pay off things, to make sure your kids are educated, to make sure that your family can pay their bills when something happens, when you pass on. We are all going to leave here. Are you properly protected? Let's do an analysis of that. Pastor Andrew said, one thing we can do, this Andrew that just came off the screen, that my microphone or his, we could not get together. He says, thank you, Andrew. Okay, here we go. Andrew says, one thing we can do is change our consciousness to break through the woe is me mindset and accept how powerful we really are mentally and as a group. Amen. He says we need to trust and support our fellow Black entrepreneurs who need us to prosper. Government shutdown is showing us that the myth of working for the government is the safest job is not true. Wow. You said a whole bunch. I wish that we could have got that on there, but I'll tell you, thank you. I thank God for you. It's so true. The woe is me. We have to, because it's easy. You can look at this same discussion with somebody else who is not who's not positive, who's not spirit-led, who is not God-led, a whole different experience, a whole different group of people, and this whole discussion will go south. They'll only talk about what has been done and how they wouldn't do it. And because they charged us too much, that's why we shouldn't get no life insurance. And because, they might go out of business. That's why we shouldn't do no investments. And because these things happen, that's why we shouldn't, work together. No, that we have to have, AfroEconomics has to have a different light. We have to be the light. We have to be, look, the truth is the new black, right? That's why we're black all the time. We have to be the truth. We have to, and we have to feel comfortable with it. And when we feel it, when you say the truth is these bad things happen. And don't you ever let nobody tell you it didn't. The truth is that we haven't had the opportunity for our wealth to compound for generation after generation after generation because of some things that were done incorrectly. But the truth also is that we're going to maximize the opportunity we have today. I don't care how many racial slurs anybody says or how the media says that something is racist and this and that. I don't care. I'm knocking down doors. I'm changing lives. I'm enhancing your life. They can sit there and be miserable. We're going to sit here and figure out some things. I had a lady, and we worked through, she's on furlough, a member. We have several members on furlough, and we're working through this thing. Put yourself in a situation to have somebody on your team. Network, talk, get out, come to the events that we're having this weekend, the college prep day, empower the kids because of you and AfroEconomics. The King Day brunch and our members only meeting, absolutely free. All of this is free for members, of course. Everything college prep is free for the kids and everything because of AfroEconomics. We can do those things. And to do this, Andrew says working together with other Black people is not racism, it's smart. Amen. Isn't it the truth? You should see some of the ugly things that people say to me about having AfroEconomics. I think it is really sad that they see it that way. It's like, I'm like, why are you so angry? But because all we're doing is trying to make sure that all of our success, everything about AfroEconomics will help the entire United States of America and abroad. It will help them. The more wealth we build, the more taxes we pay. It is the truth. I just say more money, more wealth, because I don't believe in the more money, more problems. That's crazy. That just means you just don't have any sense. You don't know how to handle it. No, more money, more money, more money. That's it. So anybody out there going through any type of stress, make sure you reach out, jb@afroeconomics.com. Help me help you. Help me help you. Indeed. Take advantage of the no excuses. Get involved in all of the membership meetings and all of that. Take advantage of it. Right? Right? Tomorrow is promised to no one, so let's maximize today. And if you're looking for strategies on legacy, let's talk about it. Artist said, working together. Oh, wait a minute. What did artist say? What did he say? Artist said, we must develop and redevelop Balaka, Black collective consciousness. I know that's right. Go on, young man. I almost missed that. Maurice, AfroEconomics does not need their approval. No, you are so right. We do not. All you need is God's approval and keep on moving. That's right. That's why. Indeed. Nobody else. Nobody else. And that eliminates materialism for us completely when we become more God-centered, more self-centered, more your family-centered, then because we don't have to impress anyone. Your balance sheet will speak for itself. You don't have to put anything on your back. No name brands, nothing like that. You don't have to. But it's nice and do what you want to do. But a lot of times we're wasting money on those things and not focusing on what we need to do to build wealth, have security, prepare, have that emergency fund for times like this. You all are the best. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Thank you, Andrew and Maurice, for hanging in there, even though I couldn't get you on, couldn't hear you. It was just great. I appreciate your typing in your comments. It made all the difference in the world. And then Friday, members only at noon. Saturday, college prep day, free for the kids. So I hope everybody is registered and is bringing their child if it's applicable. And Monday, more of this. I'm having look, Andrew, when I get rich, I'm going to be flying you in. When I get rich, I'm going to be flying you in, and you're going to be on that panel. We're doing a panel. Remember, DC, January 26th, DC. And but this Monday for King Day, it's in Virginia, and we're having a panel on entrepreneurship, wealth, education, corporate America. It's going to be hot. Yes, indeed. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Good night. Thank you. Good. I look forward to seeing you in DC. Thank you. Thank you so much. We had great participation. Thank you, Akila. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Thank you, artist. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Demetrius. How you doing, Ms. Walton? You were one of the first, and I didn't get to say hi to you. Dr. A, thank you. I hope to see you in DC on the 26th. Miss Sherman in Ohio, love you. Mr. Piercy in Virginia, thank you so much. Thank you, Ronald. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Mr. Benta. Y'all have a wonderful night. Mr. Lewis, good to see you. Let's make sure you have a wonderful one, y'all. Dr. A, you raised your hand. I see you. And to everyone on the telephone, thank you so much. Thank you. Good night.